Hi everyone, I want to give you a short update on what has been going on with the Rogue class. So I've been playing a lot of Rogue in Season 2 so far. I've been testing a lot of the existing and potentially new builds that we can make with Rogues. And there's actually a lot of interesting stuff going on. And you might have seen my maxroll guides. I have 4 of them here, 4 endgame Rogue guides that I am handling basically. And well, especially in those tier 100 pushes I've been doing lately, there were actually quite some interesting discoveries. So I want to talk you through them real quick. Especially for Twisting Blades and Death Trap, there is like something really interesting going on, and this is the X-Files ring. So this is like this new ring here that has been added that allows you to trigger these kind of poison explosions or like any kind of damage explosions depending on which damage over time you're doing. For the rogues, that means poison. And this is actually quite powerful effect, turns out. So a lot of other builds also use that. For example, Blizzard Sword can use it, I believe. And Firewall Sword and especially Infinimus Necro is going absolutely crazy with this ring. It's not as insane on the rogue, but it turns out that if you really go all in on poisons with Bursting Venoms and Pestilent Points and just trying to trigger those poison procs everywhere, you will also trigger this ring. The interesting part about this is that basically every single attack has a chance to trigger it only once, but it does have a very high like a hit chance to happen. So if you use something like Twisting Blades or even something like Barrage, it does proc quite often. I've been experimenting with this ring with various different builds, and it turns out it's just really helpful for this kind of AoE clear. It can even crit up to like 2-3 million I've seen on some of my characters. So it's not a bad value. In some cases, it was even like one-shotting elites on tier 100 just with the proc alone. So that is definitely nothing to joke about. So in this case, I actually went in on a Twisting Blades guide that already had like a very poison-based variant here on the Nightmare Dungeon push variant at least. A bit different from the standard variant, basically, where you play like Poison Shadow and there's no Bursting Venoms, etc. Here for the push version, we already had that. I mostly just replaced the ring. I optimized a little bit around it, and that was it. And it actually just fits in really nicely. But then I learned I can do exactly the same on Death Trap. So here's the updated Death Trap version as well. And it turns out, I gotta say that Death Trap, despite being an exposure build and not a close quarters combat build, like basically every other good rogue build right now, even without close quarters combat and this massive damage multiplier you're getting, it just seemed like the easiest build to clear tier 100s for me. Especially after doing this combo, I put in a pretty similar setup to the pure Twisting Blades build with Bursting Venoms, Pestilent Points, and again the X-Files ring. And like this, you have enough damage to just blast your way through tier 100s basically, but you are much safer because of those exposure procs, because of the stun grenades, because of the Death Trap pulling stuff in. It really helps you to clean out those really large packs, Poison Trap constantly, knocking everything down. So that felt really good actually. And this is why, in my opinion, it remains the top build for rogues right now. Even though previously I was kind of expecting to maybe even move it down from S to A tier or so. But it turns out after further testing, that is absolutely not warranted. Then for the Rain of Arrows guide, I've been playing this a lot in the early season, so the first few days. And this guide is pretty much min-maxed already. Not that much change in the last few days. If you are a Rain of Arrows enjoyer, this was a really fun build. It's not as good as the others, but I was also clearing T100s without too much trouble with this build, and it is a ton of fun to play Rain of Arrows. So this is really something else. Doing this one button nuke that just destroys everything, even basically one taps elites in tier 100, like the entire screen blows up basically when you do that, and it feels really cool. So if you're looking for something else, you can try to gear up for this, get the Bird of Hakan and the Flicker Step. You can get that from Duriel, and then you can absolutely annihilate with this build. And for the Flurry Rapid Fire, there's actually something that I want to dive deeper into in a separate video, but I was pushing with that a little bit, and that was also fairly easy. I would say number 2 after Death Trap in terms of like how easy it is to actually survive and go through tier 100 Nightmare Dungeons. It wasn't the fastest necessarily, but it was fine. And I used the Godslayer Crown for that. So this has turned out to be a really good item, really valuable for this build in particular, because you can always stun enemies whenever you want with Flurry. You can stun on demand with the improved or advanced, I don't know, one of the 2 Flurry upgrades that you evade through a target and then you stun everything around you. And Flurry doesn't have a very large AoE, so Goldslayer Crown has the perfect synergy for this, pulling the entire screen into the small area and you just decimate. That felt really cool, really fun, and really powerful as well, and gives you those juicy boss nukes as well at the end. So those are some of the updates I've been doing, and I'm gonna be experimenting more with the rogue, but for the most part I think I've moved all of those builds into like pretty much the most optimal spots, but we'll see if I can come up with some other things. So this is what I want to get out here. Hope you're enjoying the season. I'll be back soon with a lot more stuff. I'm going to be talking in more detail about stuff like the Goldslayer Crown. I'm going to make some more individual build guides, etc. This was just like a high-level overview for you guys. If you are already familiar with rogues, then this is what I came up with for now. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you had also found any other cool combos or so, any cool new builds that popped up that are actually really strong. I'll be curious to hear about those, and maybe I can also try them out. That's it. Hope you like it, and see you guys next time.